What happens when a fearless lady police officer faces off against an army of ruthless criminals in the dead of night? This isn't just a fight, it's a war for justice, packed with high-octane action, explosive battles, and a female cop who proves that courage knows no limit. In a city drowning in fear and ruled by ruthless gangs, one woman in uniform dares to rise against the darkness. This is not just a story, it's a heart-pounding action thriller where a fearless lady police officer faces impossible odds, defies danger at every turn, and proves that justice wears no gender. Get ready for a cinematic ride filled with suspense, explosions, and unstoppable courage. O'Night, however, wasn't just another patrol. A storm was brewing and she was walking straight into the heart of it. The radio in her Jeep crackled alive. Control to Officer Khan. Intelligence confirms a major weapons deal going down at the old industrial docks. Reports indicate Raka's gang is involved. Approach with maximum caution. Raka. The very mention of his name sent waves of anger through her veins. Scarred, merciless, and ruthless, he was the kind of man who built empires on blood and fear. She had crossed paths with him before, but each time he had slipped away, leaving trails of destruction behind. Tonight, she vowed, would be different. "I copy," she replied calmly, though her jaw tightened. She turned the ignition, the engine growling to life, headlights cutting through the misty air as she sped toward the docks. The industrial zone loomed like a graveyard of metal skeletons. Rusted cranes stood tall, shipping containers stacked like silent tombs, and the salty air carried the stench of oil and decay. Somewhere among those containers, men with guns waited, and she knew walking in meant walking into fire. She killed the lights, parked, and stepped out. Her pistol was firm in her grip, her heartbeat steady. Shadows stretched across the ground, and in the distance, faint laughter and the metallic clinks of rifles being loaded told her she was in the right place. Inside a clearing, dozens of men gathered around crates brimming with weapons, assault rifles, handguns, even explosives. Trucks idled nearby, ready to ship death across the city. And in the middle of it all stood Raka, his scarred face illuminated by the glow of a burning cigarette, his eyes cold and calculating. "Tonight," he barked to his men, "we take over the streets. Once this deal is done, there's no force that can stop us. Not the cops, not anyone." Ayesha emerged from the shadows, her voice sharp and commanding. "That's where you're wrong. This ends tonight." Dozens of heads snapped toward her. A beat of silence passed before laughter erupted. One of the men sneered. "You came alone? Bad mistake, lady." She raised her pistol. "The only mistake was thinking you could terrorize this city forever." The first shot was fired. Then chaos exploded. Bullets tore through the night, ricocheting off containers, sparks flying. Ayesha moved like liquid steel, rolling behind cover, firing back with lethal precision. Her shots were not wasted, each one found its mark, dropping men who thought a lone woman would be easy prey. Two men tried to flank her, rushing from the side with blades. She ducked, disarmed one with a twist of his wrist, and slammed his head against the metal container. The second swung wildly. She spun, delivering a kick to his chest that sent him crashing into a stack of crates. Raka roared in fury, signaling more men. "Don't just stand there, take her down!" Dozens charged. The docks became a battlefield. Gunfire thundered, mixing with the roar of engines and the cries of men falling one after another. Ayesha's uniform was streaked with dirt and sweat, her body bruised, but her spirit unshaken. She fought with the ferocity of someone carrying not just a badge, but the weight of justice itself. A grenade suddenly rolled toward her feet. Without hesitation, she kicked it back. The explosion ripped through the night, scattering men, fire lighting up the dockyard like a scene from hell. Through the flames, she pressed forward, eyes locked on Raka. But he wasn't retreating. He grabbed a shotgun, pumping it with a sinister grin. "You've got guts, officer. I'll give you that. But guts won't keep you alive." He fired. The blast tore through the air, missing her by inches. She dived, rolled, and fired back. One bullet grazed his arm, making him stumble. Enraged, he dropped the shotgun and rushed her like a beast, fists swinging with brute force. The two collided in a storm of fists, elbows, and raw fury. He was larger, stronger, every punch from him aimed to crush bones. But she was faster, sharper, using his strength against him. She ducked, countered, driving her knee into his ribs, elbow into his jaw. Still, he refused to fall. He grabbed a rusted chain hanging from a crane, swinging it at her. She blocked, the metal slamming against her forearm, pain shooting through her bones. Gritting her teeth, she seized the chain mid-swing and yanked it, pulling him off balance. She landed a brutal kick to his chest, sending him sprawling. But before she could press her advantage, headlights flared. More trucks screeched into the dock, unloading another wave of armed men. Reinforcements. The gang had planned for everything. Bullets rained again, forcing her to dive behind a container. Her magazine was nearly empty. Sweat dripped down her temple, her breathing heavy, but her eyes remained unyielding. Giving up was never an option. She whispered to herself, "Not tonight." Sliding out, she shot the driver of a truck, causing it to slam into another vehicle. The crash erupted into flames, the explosion rocking the docks, throwing men into the air. Amidst the chaos, she grabbed an abandoned assault rifle and unleashed a storm of bullets, cutting through the enemy ranks. Still, they kept coming. She fought, punched, kicked, fired her body screaming in pain, but her will unbreakable. She leapt onto a container, raining fire from above before jumping down into the thick of them, batons swinging like lightning. One by one, they fell until the ground was littered with groaning bodies and discarded weapons. The dock was a war zone, smoke curling into the night sky, flames painting the darkness orange. At the center of it all, Raka stood again, blood dripping from his temple, eyes burning with hatred. He charged, tackling her to the ground. The two wrestled, grappling for control, every punch rattling through their bodies. He slammed her against the concrete, but she fought back, headbutting him, then locking his arm in a vicious hold. Bones cracked. He howled. Using the last of her strength, she pinned him, pistol pressed to his forehead. "It's over, Raka." He spat blood, snarling. "You think cutting off one head will kill the beast? Others will rise. You'll never win." She tightened her grip on the trigger, eyes blazing. "Maybe, but tonight you lose." Sirens wailed in the distance. Red and blue lights flooded the docks as reinforcements finally arrived. Officers swarmed in, cuffing the surviving criminals. Ayesha dragged Raka to his feet, snapping the cuffs onto his wrists. His empire of terror had fallen, and he knew it. But even as he was hauled away, his words echoed in her mind. Others will rise. The war wasn't over, it had only just begun. She stood amid the wreckage, smoke swirling around her, her uniform torn, bruises marking her skin. Yet her eyes carried the fire of a warrior who refused to bow, a protector who would fight until her last breath. The city was safe for now. But in the shadows, new threats stirred. And when they came, she would be ready. Because she wasn't just a cop. She was justice wrapped in courage, a storm in human form, the nightmare of every criminal who thought the streets belonged to them. The criminals thought they owned the night, but they forgot that even the darkest night must face the dawn. Her battle may have ended here, but her war against crime will never stop. Because as long as evil lurks in the shadows, the city will always have her. The fearless protector, the unstoppable force, the lady cop who turned fear into justice. This is just the beginning.